So a couple days ago, a YouTuber named Synthetic Man uploaded this video. It was a review of God of War Ragnarok, and I made a video responding to his review. He reacted to the video on one of his streams, where at the end of the stream, he encouraged everyone watching to go over to my channel and dislike bomb my video, which is against YouTube's community guidelines and also is a pretty fucked up thing to do.
So while you guys do your job, dislike bomb the video. I don't give a shit. I don't care if I get in trouble from YouTube. Every one of you come here, dislike this video.
Which after he said that, he did say, actually, nah, don't do it. Because he probably realized how fucked up that is. But still, it just kind of shows what type of person we're dealing with.
I love how isn't that like I'm trying not to say tranny version, but the alternate universe version of Marceline that's like a boy or something. So already we have like an effeminate male character that you're using for your avatar. Really not helping. Really not helping. This is let me just flip up a little bit, just flex. Just show off my raw masculinity versus this effeminate twink.
But yeah, before I go any further, I just want to say, like, I didn't send any of my viewers to go dislike bomb your video. I didn't insult your appearance or anything. I didn't insult, like, your branding, your profile picture. I kept everything I said about the game and either you or my knowledge about the game. Don't call me an effeminate twink because I don't share the same shitty-ass opinion that you do about a fucking video game. There's plenty of things I can say to insult you. I can think of a whole bunch, but I'm not going to because at the end of the day, we are arguing over fictional video game characters that don't even exist. So stay in your place, which is making dog shit video game reviews, and don't talk about me like that, because I'm just some random guy on the internet that you don't know. Yeah, that live stream is not what I'm going to be reacting to in this video. I think the next day or like 2 days later, he posted this, basically a video responding to comments under his God of War review and to my video. And just to spoil it for you, he makes like maybe one good point. There's one singular point in the video where he's correct and I'm wrong, and I'll show you what it is once we get to it. But after watching this video, especially the intro, I'm pretty convinced that this dude is like literally fucking deaf. Like, I'm convinced his ears are just like prosthetics. But yeah, let's just get into this and I'll show you what I mean.
Now, normally this is where I would end the video, but just as I was getting into the editing process, I was made aware of a response video made by Zero Needs Coffee called The Worst God of War Ragnarok Review, Synthetic Man.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Zero. Welcome back to the channel. This was kind of weird because it's been like a little over 2 weeks since I even worked on a long form video, since I've just really been focusing on shorts content.
Well, this is not a good start. This person thinks that 9 minutes is a long video, and it's a 9-minute response to an over hour-long review, so you know it's gonna be good.
This is what I meant when I said this dude was like actually like mentally retarded. Like, this dude's brain is literally for show. Like, he has a plastic replica brain in his skull. You're gonna start to see sort of a pattern in this video where I'll say something and in response to it, this dude will come up with some imaginary argument or response to it. I didn't say it was a long video. I said it was a long form video, as in not a short. Been like a little over 2 weeks since I even worked on a long form video, since I've just really been focusing on shorts content. A long form video. You have shorts videos and you have long form videos. Like, this is basic shit. Like, this is basic knowledge that people who aren't even YouTubers know. But yes, to answer your question, you're correct. 9 minutes is not a long video. The reason I didn't make it longer is because I have a life and don't have enough time to devote to making an hour-plus long review on a fucking video game. Time that you somehow have at what looks like 30 years old. The video was like 9.5 minutes long, so I just rounded it up to 10 and referred to it as a long form video. But on YouTube, we use it to discern the two types of content, those being shorts and normal videos. We just call the shorts shorts and the longer videos long form videos. Now you know. And in this video, he basically just goes on and on about how the game is emasculating him and how the game is so woke because there's strong female characters, and it's just some of the funniest shit I've ever seen.
God, this comes across as some kind of feminist torture fantasy. What the fuck? See, the weird thing is, I can't tell if he thinks it's funny because of how absurd it is or because of the way I said that line. At least I thought it was funny.
It's actually both. I think it's absurd to the point that it's hilarious that one of your points in your argument against this game is that a woman strangles the main antagonist and says, "Bow to your new queen." And I'm pretty sure the reason she says bow to your queen isn't because this game is some woke agenda. I'm pretty sure that's because since Odin and all of his kids are dead, that would make Freya in charge of everything that Odin was in charge of, but I'm pretty sure that was the reason. Now, I already know what this dude is gonna say in response to this. He's gonna say, I don't care what the reason it is that she said that. Don't bring up some meta argument as to the reason she said that. I don't care why she said it, I just think it's cringe. And you know what that's called? It's called an opinion. Now, the thing that makes this line cringe to him isn't that it has like bad acting or like the delivery of the line was bad, because he didn't bring up any of that. He didn't bring up like how it's like bad acting or bad delivery. What he thinks is cringe about it is that it's a woman. If this was a dude strangling another dude and saying bow to your king, he'd think it was cool. If it was a man strangling a woman and saying bow to your king, he'd think it was cool. But when it's a woman strangling a man and saying bow to your queen, suddenly it's not cool. And that really does say a lot about this guy when you actually think about it. Like, what kind of bitchless incel is this pissed off that a woman is strangling the main antagonist in his video game and saying bow to your new queen? Like, who is that pissed off about that?
And I notice he cut out the line in question that was super cringe. Let me just remind you.
Bow to your queen!
Seems kinda dishonest, don't you think? And one of my fans told me this person is actually anti-woke, and they didn't have a single problem with Freya being such a blatant Mary Sue.
Who gives a fuck about woke and anti-woke? This dude is looking too far into this game. But putting that aside, this dude says that Freya is a Mary Sue character. Let's go to Google and look up the definition of a Mary Sue. The definition for a Mary Sue is a type of female character who is depicted as unrealistically lacking in flaws or weaknesses. She was not a strong woman so much as an insufferable Mary Sue. But the crazy thing is, Freya actually is a character that has a lot of weaknesses and character flaws. In the first game, she's an overprotective mother who literally cast a spell on her son to protect him from harm, even though it pretty much ruined his entire life. Then tries to kill Kratos and Atreus for 3 years straight because they killed her son, even though it was to save her life. And then by the end of it all, forgiving them and actually becoming friends with them. The literal dictionary definition of a Mary Sue is someone who doesn't have that. It's someone who didn't go through that. So she is not a Mary Sue. She's just a female character who's nearly as strong as Kratos. And this just awakens something in this man to where now he's summoning this giant incel energy spirit bomb, and it just looks fucking stupid. And then he wants to add politics to it, like people are being woke and anti-woke, when you literally don't even know the definition of the word Mary Sue. Because if you did, you wouldn't say that about Freya. You make no fucking sense at all. Literally none.
Also, I'm not the only one who sees the irony in him mocking me for thinking the game is emasculating him while he's using an effeminate twink Rule 63 version of Marceline from Adventure Time as his avatar.
Like, what is making you give a fuck about this? Because this is like maybe the 4th time you've brought this up. You brought it up like twice in your live stream, and you brought it up like twice now. Like, what is the reason? Like what is possessing you to make you want to give a fuck about this? It's literally not even that bad. Like, you're reaching super far. I always use Adventure Time characters as my PFPs on my social media because I really liked the show as a kid. And the one for my YouTube channel just happens to be Marshall Lee. I didn't choose this picture because I'm woke or something and like the fact that it's a gender bent version of Marceline. I chose it because he's voiced by Childish Gambino, who I really like the music of. Please stop bringing this up. It has nothing to do with the game. You're just reaching super far to try to find things to insult me. It just looks fucking stupid. Just please.
I mean, come on, man. Have some self-awareness.
Video is going to be extremely spoiler heavy. Like, literally every plot detail about the game is going to be explained and spoiled. So if you haven't played the game yet, I recommend you go check it out. But if you're not able to play it or have an Xbox or something, then you can also check out a video like this, like a full game, no commentary video. I highly recommend you go do that. Don't watch this video. Go experience the game first and then come back.
Instead of, playing the game yourself or just waiting until you could get a PS5, he suggests that you watch a full game walkthrough. And the part he's leaving out is when you then pretend you've played the game yourself and have a real opinion on it.
Now, if you guys have been keeping count, you would know that this is the literal 3rd time that this dude has just been completely and utterly just deaf. The batteries in his ears just like fucking died. I said, quote, if you have an Xbox or Switch or something, then as a last resort, you can just watch this video. And then he takes that and says, oh, this new generation, all they do is just watch the game and pretend they play it. Why don't you just wait to buy a PS5? Just buy a PS5. Yeah, why doesn't a homeless man just buy a fucking house? Just buy a PS5. Just wait for a PS5. If you have an Xbox or a Switch and you want to hurry and catch up to what the story is in this game, then I see nothing wrong with watching this video. But this dude has to come up with some dumbass bullshit bullshit to say because it's been too long since he's made a point. So he just takes my words and just twists it around and just says that I said to watch this video. No, I didn't say watch this video. I said as a last resort, if you have a Switch or an Xbox or unable to get a PlayStation, then watch this video. Just another instance of this dude just taking what I'm saying and literally just changing it.
Half of this game is either watching a cutscene, walking in a straight line, or engaging in one of the game's many hidden loading screens, whether that be rowing a boat, riding a giant yak, climbing a wall, shit we've seen 1,000 times, and it gets old.
So this dude is pretty much saying that half of the game is running around, talking to people, watching cutscenes, and exploring the world. Isn't that half of what pretty much every video game is?
Okay, when he first said this blew my fucking mind. Let me just play a clip from the stream.
Pretty much every video game is. I've
What?
never really heard anyone.
What?
Now, at the beginning of the video, I said there was one point that I had where I was objectively wrong, and this is that point right here, where I said that pretty much all video games, half of them includes loading, exploring the world, and watching cutscenes. That is objectively wrong. There are many games that aren't like that. I guess that was just the type of games that I was thinking of in my mind, since I was thinking of games that were similar to the new God of War games. But yeah, that was objectively wrong, and I admit that.
Kratos just mysteriously has lost almost all of his abilities and gear from the last game. And so the game kind of feels afraid to give you all of the combat mechanics until about 10 hours in.
Okay, so I guess this guy is upset that all of his abilities and gear that he had unlocked in God of War 2018 didn't transfer over to this game. You wanted Kratos to start the game looking like this? That's not possible because the developers have no clue what you unlocked in the last game. And even if they did, everyone should start from the same point. This is even explained in-game.
What happened to all the armor we made you already?
I used it.
Well, maybe try to make this one last longer.
I never implied Kratos should have any of his original abilities.
You did actually imply that Kratos should have some of his original abilities from the last game. I don't know if you're talking about like the original trilogy or if you're talking about God of War 2018, but I'm just gonna assume you're talking about God of War 2018. You literally said as a complaint to the game that Kratos mysteriously lost his abilities to the last game. So it's implied that you would rather he have them. So yes, you did.
I also never implied the game should read your save file to know what you unlock. That doesn't make sense either. Why do you view everything so black and white? You don't have to start with literally nothing, and you also don't have to start with all of your stuff from the last game. My point was, this game has no sense of progression. It feels like an expansion pack of the last game, because you have the same starting equipment and abilities as the last game, except thankfully you get the Blades of Chaos pretty early on. But even a lot of the runic attacks are the same fucking ones from the last game. The fucking God of War can't block a random fire skeleton's axe swing. My immersion is destroyed.
So do you want him to be fucking invincible? It's still a video game. It still has to present some challenge. And if you fuck up, there still has to be a losing condition.
Again, this is an idiotic straw man. You argue only in extremes.
First of all, this is literally not even what a straw man is. Let me show you guys the definition of a straw man. A straw man is an intentionally misrepresented proposition that is set up because it's easier to defeat than an opponent's real argument. This is literally not what a straw man is. The same thing with Mary Sue, how this guy literally just didn't even know what the definition of a Mary Sue was. Like, I understood what your argument was. Your argument is that your immersion was ruined and you got a sense of disbelief when you died as Kratos in a game to a normal enemy that's weaker than him. That was your argument, right? And I understood that. So I said, okay, how would that be fixed? Because as far as I know, I mean, I'm not a video game developer. I don't know how you would fix that. Does this mean that anytime you die to a character that's less powerful than you in a video game, you get a sense of disbelief, like every single time? Is that what this means?
Dude, just think about it for 2 seconds. It's called suspense of disbelief. Did I need to use the actual term for you to understand it, man? It has nothing to do with gameplay mechanics. It's literally just suspense of disbelief.
Yeah, and your sense of disbelief came from dying to a character that's less powerful than the guy you're playing as in a game. Which is a stupid sense of disbelief to have because it's a video game and there has to be some kind of losing condition. Like, well, what's the solution? Have him be, like, knocked out? Have him be invincible? Like, how would you solve your sense of disbelief? How would you make it go away? There's not really a solution to this that I can think of. You're going to have to die in a video game, and sometimes to enemies that aren't as strong as the guy you're playing as. It's just the way games work. Like, what if you die from fall damage or something? Like, would you have a sense of belief then? Would you be like, man, Kratos is a god. How did he die from falling 30 feet? That doesn't make any sense. My immersion is ruined. Like, would you think that too? You didn't really provide any other, like, solution, because as far as I know, there really isn't one. You just have a stupid sense of disbelief.
And mine was destroyed multiple times.
And when you apply that logic to any other game, it just sounds stupid. How can the legendary crime fighter Batman die to a random thug's punch? How can the superhumanly powerful Doomslayer die to a random projectile from a demon? This sucks. Immersion ruined. Like, this dude has literally no understanding of how video games work.
The fucking arrogance of this guy to say, I don't understand video games. I would bet any amount of money I played twice as many as you have, and likely far more than that across my life.
Now, the thing about this is he doesn't even really respond to what I said. Like, the point I made about, you know, dying to weaker enemies in other games, like the Doomslayer dying to some random fodder, for example. He doesn't really argue back or have a response. He just kind of insults me, which kind of makes me think he doesn't have a response, but went too long without making a point.
He reused almost every enemy type from the first game. And I mean exact same animations and attacks.
Oh my god, the game takes place in the same world as the last game. It's gonna have some of the same enemies.
Okay, this is how I know this guy's a retard. You just argued that I don't know how video games work, and then you just made a meta argument for why in-universe the same enemies would appear. You're a moron. I'm just gonna say it. I don't care if I get in trouble for mocking you. You deserve to be mocked for a statement like this. Why didn't the old God of War games reuse every enemy type then?
But the thing is, the old God of War games reuse a lot of enemies too. Like the Harpies and Legionnaires. Those are in almost like every God of War game. Same thing here where you have Draugr and like those little like fucking blue Draugr. I don't even remember what they're fucking called. Those get reused here too. Yeah, there's a lot more reused enemies in God of War. I see that as a reason someone wouldn't like the game. But you can't just completely ignore that a lot of enemies were reused in the old God of War games as well.
Between games, Atreus and Kratos have literally just been hiding in their house, waiting for the world to end. I wish I was fucking joking.
Dude, no. Kratos even explains this in-game.
Not hide. Prepare for a fight for which we are not ready.
Like, dude, Kratos literally fucking says it in the game. They're training for when the gods eventually find where they're hiding out and attack them. They're not doing nothing.
Oh, they trained. Oh, so what are the results of their labor? If they were training so hard, wouldn't they start with more abilities than they had in the last game? They wouldn't start at level 1 with level 1 equipment, right?
You criticized me for making an argument about like the meta of the actual video game earlier when I said, of course it's going to have a lot of reused enemies, it takes place in the same location, right? You said that was a meta argument and that not to make meta arguments. But you just made a meta argument. This is meta as fuck. They were training. Okay, so why do they all have level 1 equipment? I actually found it fun having to like go through and like discover all these new abilities again, especially the new weapon as well. But that's just an opinion. I can understand why you wouldn't like that. But just don't tell someone not to make the type of argument that you're about to make. Like, just don't do that because it's just really stupid.
They wouldn't just stick with the same equipment and abilities if they were training so hard for 3 years, right?
Yeah, this is literally just a meta argument. You just told me. This is hypocritical as fuck, dude.
Turns out that Freya has been trying to kill Kratos for the last 4 years, but despite knowing exactly where he lives, she somehow has failed every time.
There's a protective force field called a stave around their home, which is stopping her from getting in. That's literally where they're going when they're running from her at the beginning of the game.
Again, this is a straw man. I never said she should come to the front door and kill them. I already explained this point earlier. Here's the timestamp.
First of all, there's no timestamp. Second of all, this isn't a straw man. I showed you guys what the definition of a straw man is. It's when somebody basically makes up an argument because they can't basically refute someone's original argument. And I didn't make up a new argument. This dude is just like a fucking word generator. I did not strawman you. I literally argued your actual point. You asked why, when she knows exactly where they live, could she not have killed them after almost 3 years of trying? And I said, well, she probably keeps failing because there's a protective force field around their house that they keep running to. How is that a straw man? I literally just answered your question.
And God, I just fucking hate this design. Anyone who says he looks like a strongman has never actually seen a strongman. Even Eddie Hall at his fattest had more muscle definition than this.
What the fuck are you talking about? There's a lot of strong men that look like Thor.
Yeah, I'm just gonna give my stream reaction for this one. This is the most Dunning-Kruger shit I've seen in a long time.
You can't see the difference between these two pictures? You put that in your video! You put it in your fucking video!
Yeah, there's minor differences, but there's a lot more similarities. The only thing about these pictures that is noticeably different is the chest, like the pectoral muscles. Those are the only things that are really that different about this picture. Besides that, they're pretty much the same. Thor's arms are a little bit smaller by just a tiny bit, but maybe they're not. Maybe we just can't tell because they're covered. It's a very similar physique. The only thing different is the chest. And a build like this is what they were going for when they were designing the character.
I'm mad. Look at his chest. Look at the arms, and lots of strongman, and he literally just shows Eddie Hall, which was the fattest. Eddie Hall bulked up to like 430 pounds for that or something like that, and at 6'2", and a half. Again, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh my, but people who don't lift will tell you this is, I don't see the difference. It looks like the same guy.
Even other YouTubers that have reacted to his response also agree that they look pretty much identical apart from the chest.
Look at his chest. Look at the arms, and lots of strongman, and
They
he
look the fucking same. Maybe I'm not as dumb as I thought, chat. Like, honestly, I'm pretty hard on myself thinking I'm stupid a lot of the times, and I am. But goddamn do I feel better about myself after watching this response. I really, honestly feel a lot more confidence in my own brain capabilities now.
Also, I had literally no clue other people were reacting to our responses until somebody in my comments let me know. Yeah, thanks for letting me know, because I was literally about to upload this and I was able to put this clip in, so thanks.
Kratos refuses, which might as well be a declaration of war.
Dude, no. In the last game, it's a really strong plot point that Odin is a manipulator and lies to get things that he wants. I love how he conveniently didn't show the part where Mimir was accusing him of lying and explaining to Kratos how manipulative he is and not to believe him.
Again, here's the timestamp where I explain my position on that.
It's fine if he keeps
Just
secrets.
slap your
It's fine if
son.
Mom
Just
did.
fucking slap him.
Her secrets are not to be step with this path.
Oh, okay.
The pussy ass writers. Like, do you know how many dads would fucking bitch slap their sons if they spoke to him like that?
If Kratos bitch slapped Atreus, he would probably fucking die. He's the god of war.
Once again, my stream reaction to this was perfect. Okay, this is parody, right? This must be parody. Because that sounded like a joke.
Yeah, because it was a joke. Kratos can't bitch slap his son because if he did, he would kill him. It's just a joke. What the fuck else am I supposed to say to respond to that? Like, Kratos should just bitch slap his son? Like, what am I supposed to say? But yeah, that's pretty much it. This video is over an hour long, and I don't really see any point in going over the rest of the video. I just wanted to take a look at the most outlandish points and explain them, because this review is really bad. Like, this is really, really bad. It's obvious that this dude didn't like the game before he played it, and he just went into it, looked at the whole story at face value, and just doesn't even really understand what's going on.
And once again, the most tired leftist argument of all. He just hated the game before he even played it.
My question is, why do you keep adding politics to everything? Like, how is that leftist? How is anything I said in this entire video like leftist at all? Like, we can even just look back to what I said. I said, I didn't feel like looking at the rest of your review because the review is bad and you probably didn't like the game before you played it. How the fuck is that leftist? How does politics have anything to do with that at all? I didn't say one thing in the video at all that was political, except for the fact that you think the game is woke. That's the only political thing I said. Like, everything I say, it just goes through your ear and comes out the other as leftist. Nothing I said was leftist, bro. I just said your review is fucking trash. If somebody says a yo mama joke to you, you're gonna think it's fucking leftist. Everything is a leftist argument to this man. I just don't fucking understand. I don't get it.
Oh really? Then why did I like the last game? Yeah, I thought it was a bit overrated, but I thought it was a somewhat refreshing take on God of War. I was annoyed by one particular scene in that game, which I bring up in the review, that I guess you just skipped around in because you just couldn't bring yourself to react to the rest, I guess. And again, you made an 8-minute reaction to an hour and 5-minute long video. You used maybe 5 minutes at most of my video and then call it a horrible video.
I feel like the majority of the horrible points that you had were in the beginning of the video anyway. You kind of just went on to basically just describe the story of the game and then give your final thoughts. At least that's what I saw it as. I just reacted to the beginning of the video, like the first like 20 to 30 minutes, I think, and then I got bored and just uploaded what I had. So that's a fair argument, but I just don't get where the political leftist shit is coming from. That's just my main question. Like, if you could elaborate on that, how anything I said at all has been leftist, that would be really appreciated. Or like somebody comment like, what did I say that was leftist? Was it about his review being bad, or the fact that he thinks that it's woke? Like, does that make me a leftist? I just don't I just don't fucking get it. Another thing is he's complaining about the fact that like my response was shorter than his review. And it's like, does that even really matter? Like when somebody makes a really critical response to a movie coming out and the response is 5 minutes long, but the movie is 2 hours, does that mean, oh, you only showed like 5 minutes from the movie, the rest of the movie must be pretty good then? And like, nobody thinks that about that. Like, what's the difference here? I'm making a review of your response and it's shorter than the actual thing. I just don't get how that in any universe means that the rest of your shit is good. Because he does go on to say that. He says like, oh, well, you only included like 5 minutes of my review, so it must mean the rest of the review is amazing. And that's just like fucked up logic. But I understand the point of like, well, I put this much work into my video and you put this tiny bit of work in responding to it. Like, that's a fair point, but just that doesn't make the rest of it good. Because he does go on to say that, as you're about to see.
Of my video and then call it a horrible video. So if anything, the other hour of the video is really awesome if it's not worth even commenting on. That sounds like a great video to me. But no, I guess because I made a couple points that you people didn't understand because I didn't explain myself that well, which I admitted earlier, then I guess it's a bad video. Or here's an idea, you're a fucking fanboy with your head up your ass, you have really shit taste in video games because you haven't played any really good games, evidently.
And that's pretty much the conclusion of his video. That's where it ends right there. He just goes on to insult me a little bit more. And also, I'm not a Sony fanboy. I don't know what gave you the impression that I'm a Sony fanboy. I don't like literally every single thing Sony puts out. I thought The Last of Us 2 was pretty shit. I think a lot of shit that Sony puts out is horrible. I'm not a Sony fanboy. I'm not a Sony pony. I'm not just like some Sony cockrider, okay? There's a lot of shit that Sony puts out that I don't like. There was 1 or 2 points here where you were actually correct. Like, yeah. And yeah, I was wrong in saying that 50% of most video games are cutscenes and stories and exploring, right? I was wrong there. And I also admit I was wrong with the enemy variety and like, you know, reusing the enemies and stuff. Sony games do a lot of that, and I admit that, but I'm not a Sony fucking fanboy. But yeah, that's pretty much it here. I just really wanted to make a video responding to this because this is one of the worst responses I've ever seen. Like, yeah, he has maybe like two to three W's here, and that was just because I made points that I didn't completely think out before saying them because I was angry, and because I didn't really explain what I meant that well. But on everything else, like, he just adding politics to everything and calling everyone Mary Sue's and leftist and shit, it's just cringe as fuck. Like, yeah, you got like 2 to 3 W's, but you took like 15 L's in return. Like, this is bad. But yeah, I'm done with this whole situation. I'm done. I don't know. This was just wild. I never really had anyone like actually respond to one of my criticisms in a video this put together before, so this is like really new to me. So yeah, I just tried to handle it the best I can. I'm not going to be making any responses if he chooses to make another video, which I don't think he's going to. I think we've both kind of just agreed to disagree here, because when you step back for a second, you do kind of realize it's just like 2 retards fighting each other in a mud pit. Like, I am self-aware of that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I don't have no clue what video I'm gonna make next. I have literally no idea. Maybe I'll just go shit on more people who think that God of War is woke, or maybe I'll move on to another game. Maybe I'll do like Elden Ring or something. But yeah, thank you guys so much for all the support. This month has been insane for growth in the channel, and I'll see you guys later.